Cole, he knows how to get a hold of me or come talk to me personally. But anyway, I'm happy that you guys are having a successful event and glad to lend you the space. So
thanks, definitely. So yeah, if you're looking for junior developers, their school pumps out a whole bunch of them, or if you want to learn to code yourself in 9 weeks, it's pretty awesome. So, and thank you again for hosting us here. So without further ado, Helena, definitely introduce yourself, and then we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's panel. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. We don't have a microphone today. We'll have next time, so I hope we all have loud voices to talk. So first of all, I want to hear a round of applause to us for chasing our dreams and trying to fulfill our business ideas. So I'm an entrepreneur myself too. I'm a CEO and co-founder of a local startup that is developing a mobile application that will let people find and connect to each other based on interests, mainly activity interests like rock climbing, salsa dancing, kite surfing, tennis playing. And we also connect the people to the place where they can either purchase the experience or find gear or related things. So today we have a very interesting panel, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself, and then we'll start the questions.
Well, maybe ladies first, and
All right.
I have to default ladies first.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Krista. I grew up in Iceland and came to California to study design. I'm an industrial designer by training, and moved to China 2 years ago to go manufacture some of my products. And that's when I felt like I had to exercise. It was really hard, just being busy, being in a new community, not knowing where to go, and it's horrific going out running in China with the horrific pollution. And that's when I started looking into fitness apps and found out there's a lot of opportunity to improve the workout experience and help busy people get started. And that's how Starters started.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
All right. Well, firstly, thank you all, Helena and Cole, for putting this together. We're honored to be selected on the panel. My name's Imo Udom. I'm co-founder of WePow. I have many titles, so co-founder / whatever you want to say. Again, I'm honored to be here. We have a very interesting story as a startup. It's very atypical for Silicon Valley. I'm one of 3 co-founders. We started the company in Mexico, launched our first product in the UK, then decided to do the whole fun pivot thing, move to the US, and grow our business here. So actually, that's how I know Cole used to be part of the early team at WePow. WePow itself, initially we started as a video interviewing platform, helping companies recruit and hire talent. We sort of expanded to more of that talent acquisition space, helping companies engage talent, screen them, and then eventually onboard and bring them into their company. So wepow.com, check us out, and happy to answer any questions you guys have down the line.
My name is Jonas with LeanStack.io. First, thank you, Cole, for inviting me. Appreciate it. I actually know Cole from a previous startup. I came out here a little over a year ago to work for my buddy's startup, and that's where we first met. And then started LeanStack shortly thereafter. And LeanStack is essentially this place where you can go to find all the cloud tools and how to use them. So it was a problem that I faced as a developer. It was like, okay, I want to build something, but I don't know what to use. So we thought, all right, well, let's just create this space that will tell you what to use and how to use it. And that's what LeanStack is today. So I can get into it a bit more later, but yeah, check it out, leanstack.io, not
How do you
.com.
spell it?
Pardon?
How do you spell it?
LeanStack, LeanStack.io.
Thank you.
All right. So let's dive into the questions. So first question is about how did you guys start? And the question is, how and when did you become confident enough to start your own business? And how did you conduct your market research to realize that people really need that? Ladies first.
So, again, I'm one of 3 co-founders. My co-founder is CEO, Rodrigo Martinez. He used to work at Monster.com. So he initially had the idea and the understanding that although Monster in the early days was a real pioneer in recruiting technology, taking things online, there's still a lot of room for growth. They weren't really pushing the envelope. So funny enough, as typical startups go, the idea for our company was a little bit different, and then we eventually pivoted. Again, me as not the initial core founder who came up with the idea, again, Rodrigo came up with the idea. I used to work at Lockheed Martin, corporate job. I was in the engineering side. I think my parents have started businesses back in the day in Nigeria, so I always had that itch to do my own thing. I think I was lucky enough at Lockheed Martin to be in a leadership program that put me in high leadership roles, although I was very young. And essentially what made me feel that it's time to make that move, it's a combination of things. One is, I saw things that we did very well at Lockheed, and I think Lockheed's a great company. I also saw things I didn't really like. I think in my vision of the world, you can create a great business that is successful, but does not necessarily have to negatively impact other people. A lot of people create businesses that are you win and someone else lose. I wanted to build a business and philosophically that everyone can win, that everyone benefits from, both the company, the clients, the participants. So that was really my thing. And then coupled with, hey, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it early on in life. Not to say you can't do it other times, but I thought it made sense. I had some work experience in corporate America. I'd worked 4 years. I had a lot of momentum. I was excited. The idea came up. It was the right time. I decided to take the plunge. I guess it's never 100% right time, but you have to just have enough confidence and people around you who are willing to take that risk with you. Although I did it with some of my co-founders, I would say that my friends took the risk with me. I remember I stayed on a friend's couch for 7 months, sleeping, trying to save money to help fund the startup. Right? My parents supported me a tiny bit for the first month or 2. My girlfriend, now wife, kind of went through the first early years with me as well. So I think it kind of takes a village, even the people that aren't necessarily directly involved in your startup. If you have that backing of other people, that does help make that decision.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah, you can have a question if it's about something you said.
Yeah, I'm in the process of creating a startup, and I'm actually in the process of creating a team. So I'm curious to know, how do you, as a co-founder, how do you put together a team? And also, how do you divide up the pie, if you will?
That's one of
Is there
the
a
next
recipe?
questions.
Is there a formula?
That's one of the next questions. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
Question.
So, I told you a little bit about the story of how Starter started, but to give you also a little bit of a background, I was in the national team in judo in Iceland as a teenager, and I used to train hours a day, so things really changed when I retired doing judo, and I became a designer. And I didn't longer train to win. I trained to just stay fit. And then a lot of my friends were always asking, so what should I do? Like, how should I get started? Asking me questions about staying in shape. So when I was in China, I thought, okay, that's, I wasn't thinking that this would turn into a business or anything, but I started doing workout videos for myself, sent it to my friends, and then a few weeks later, a friend of mine, he emailed me and he was like, my back has gotten better and I'm losing weight, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I actually teared, that I felt it's amazing that you can influence someone's life in such an impactful way. And that's when I started prototyping other aspects of starters, like how would it be if your friend would be notified after a workout. How could you start motivating your friends to get started? And I started sending my husband a text message right after my workout to see if I got any responses, and that's how I started kind of prototyping just few segments of the app, and all of a sudden I saw an opportunity to put it all together, and my focus was to bring all of these things into a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been
Yeah,
working
it
on.
does sound like you saw demand among your friends, and you thought, well, if there's demand among my friends, there is demand in the big world.
Yeah, I mean, and of course with the, increasing health problems and obesity, I mean, it's a huge market that needs help as well. So, and everyone needs to stay healthy and fit.
Yes.
For a better life.
Check it out after this.
Yes. All right.
The Lean Stack story is actually very similar in the sense that it was pretty organic. The first spark of the idea it came about when I was at a hackathon with one of my buddies in San Francisco. And at the time, I was thinking about ideas. I was sort of working at this startup, but at the same time, I was thinking about different ideas. So one of them was I wanted to connect entrepreneurs through the web, so inexperience with experience. I was thinking, there's no reason everyone has to be here in the Valley. We should be able to connect people through the web. So I was thinking a pay-to-play type of model where you'd pay and then you'd get access to an entrepreneur that knows what they're doing, and then you tell them what you're doing, and then you just connect that way. So I go to this hackathon with my buddy, and we find out that one of the sponsors is TalkBox. I don't know if anyone's heard of TalkBox, but they basically have an API that allows you to build in video chat into your web app with just a few lines of code. So I saw that, and I was like, this is perfect for what I want to do. I don't have to actually build out the video chat piece of this. So I thought about that, and I was like, wow, why are we still learning about these types of services at in-person events? This was 2012, right? This was just last year. So that was the initial spark, and actually I started talking to developers there about the idea and sort of got some more validation. But then I just did 3 months of pure customer discovery. So no coding, no mock-ups, just talking to people and letting them come up with what this solution should look like. And then I was still treating it as a side project. And then I was on a trip to LA with my sister, or to visit my sister, and I wrote a blog post. At the time, enterprise was really in the news. Like TechCrunch was writing about it, Aaron Levy was talking about the emergence of enterprise and how it's sexy now. And then, so I had just been looking at the developer space, so I wrote a blog post, I think it was titled, Enterprise is Sexy, but B2D is Sexier, which is business to developer. And so I wrote it, and then I put it up on Hacker News, and then I go eat, and then I come back, and I see it on the front page. So as soon as I saw that, I put up a landing page for Lean Stack, and then people that voted for it and signed up actually served as the first 200 users for Lean Stack. So that was the point at which I was like, okay, clearly there's something here, because it was literally just a blog post of text, and it then it got to number 2. So that was the point at which I realized, okay, there might be something here, and then there was further validation later. But
Yeah, if it's on top of Hacker News, you have something good.
yeah, at some level, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add something. For our business, we've always been B2B or B2E, business to enterprise. So it's interesting enough, when we first launched the first product, we did everything wrong. This is before lean startup methodology was hot, or before custom development methodology was hot. None of us we didn't live in Silicon Valley. We knew nothing about that. So our initial product, we actually built it out for 9 months, didn't talk to anybody, self-funded, launched it, had even a launch party. That's what we thought was going to bring people. And yes, there were crickets after that. But what we decided to do is, the first product did include video. It was kind of a Monster.com competitor with video involved. And we had a few clients there that said, hey, we really just like this video piece. Can you do something around that? So this time, learning from our mistakes, we said, instead of going out and just developing something, we actually told those 2 companies, all right, you know what? we're going to develop this for you as long as you promise to pay for it. So we actually got them to sign contracts, real contracts, dollar values ahead of time, and then we built out the product. We built out 2 prototypes for 2 different customers, gave it to them, we wanted them to pay up front because we wanted that real commitment. And yeah, they started using it, they liked it, we got feedback, and then we actually built out the platform and went from there.
Yeah, when you have situations like this, when there's a customer who's willing to pay, a big customer, you can line up a partnership like that. In the early days, that can be optimal.
Yeah, again, I think my one advice, right, lean startup is, especially if you're doing consumer stuff, very easy to get people to use. Don't be afraid to push hard on people. Don't be afraid to do little experiments like each person has done. It becomes a little bit more difficult when you're going to the enterprise or B2B. But a lot of people will pay for things. Adding a little bit of monetary value changes the way people approach things, and you can learn a little bit more if that's the type of business you're building. So don't be afraid to do that as well.
Yeah, that's a good tip. All right. Next question is, so there was a spark. You guys realized there is a demand, there is a need for this idea. How was it on day one? What steps did you take in the beginning? So you mentioned a little bit about it.
Yeah, so for us, day one was very interesting because my 2 co-founders are Mexican. One was living in Prague. I was in New Jersey, New York area. Another one was living in Mexico. So the first day was, wait, where do we want to build this? What is this? How are we going to work together? So there's a lot of sort of logistics early on and thinking about where do we want to be in the next 3, 6, 12 months down the line to help us make a decision of where's the kind of company going to be, who the customers are. So again, for us, because we're pretty atypical as a startup, I think early days we had maybe 10 employees and 7 different nationalities, right? So again, logistics was a big thing on our mind first, very early on, even before we started thinking about what platform we're building things on and all that.
Yeah, for me, there was no first day because I just started building and gradually, I had people working with me, so that's kind of my story, It just happened gradually. But because I was living in China, I didn't know anyone around either, so I had to find a developer, and that's where I found my co-founder, Maxine, and we've been working ever since, and now I just do Skype with him.
Good. All right.
First day, I guess I'll use first day as first day working on startup full time. It was interesting just because I felt different in the sense that I could wake up and just focus on one thing. So I had then ended my time with the previous startup, and I could just focus on Lean Stack. So it was sort of liberating in the sense where it was like, oh wow, I don't have to do anything else today. You sort of don't look at it as work. It's like what you want to work on. So for me, it was like liberating, and it was just fun to be able to just focus on one thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Focus is probably the biggest thing that a founder have to do in order to take their startup or business seriously. If you are not going to focus and you're gonna continue thinking, I'm gonna do this on the side, someday it will succeed, it's such a great idea that probably anyone would want to use it, then it's probably not going to be serious. But once you decide to do it full time, once you're ready for that, that's where it can really take off, I feel. All right, so every next question will be related to kind of the first question about entity, co-founders, things like this. So the next question is actually about the entity. Given where your company is at, well, let's see. This one is about, okay, let's ask about the entity. How did you decide which entity you want to go with? Delaware Corporation, LLC? Did you consult an attorney, or you decided I don't have the budget, I'm going to do it myself?
for us, we did a lot of research. I mean, all of the above is the answer. I mean, we did individual research, what makes sense. Why? Because none of us were really in Silicon Valley at the time. We didn't really have that level of experience, starting a tech startup. So I remember before we all moved here and joined 500 Startups, I was working out of the co-working space in LA. So I asked all the entrepreneurs there, how did you set up your business? What do we need to do? I looked online at everything I could look at. And the advice I really got, because we had a lot of good friends who had done things like this or were building their own businesses, the advice we got was, look, if you're going to spend money early on and you're really on the right track already, spend it illegally, right? This day and age, most good startup